Let's dive back into the chat here and take a look. So, what if we had a parallel Jon series and Arya series, and after a few seasons they meet in the East, maybe in a Shai? Yeah, like that could be sick.
Right. Yeah. What I mean, because that's the whole thing is we want to see like the his family is still out there. The Starks are still there. We don't really get like it didn't feel like we had a good full like resolution, like things did not feel like they came to a satisfying end really. I mean, you got like little snippets, but their stories are just starting, right? Sansa being the queen of the north and Arya doing her thing and Bran's ruling. What is that like? There is literally so much story that you can continue to tell. And maybe they were wrong about something and you could get into the war. Like we brought up Danny. There's so many things you could do there. So
Right.
yeah.
So
Just
here's a map of like things that are even known. You know what I mean? In the A Song of Ice and Fire world, like, okay, it's like, look how big Essos is, and look how much of it we've not even like begun to like, to even sort of like touch, right? Like, okay, we've been to Astapor, we've been to Slaver's Bay, like Pentos, Tyrosh, Mir, Lys, like Valyria. You can still explore Valyria, like both old Valyria and what's there now. Just because Jon defeated or Arya, but whatever, like they defeat the Night King, that doesn't mean there's still not other White Walkers out there.
Absolutely. There's more going on. Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier is like the children of the forest still have, I mean, did they create these bad boys? You know what I'm saying? Like we got that whole episode where they like created the others. I feel like they still have some questions that need answering and they're still up there. There's a whole cave of them doing stuff.
Yeah. I mean, look, you get over here to like a Shai and then you have this Althos, right? Which is like another one of the, barely mentioned, or George saying something, right?
Right.
Because George has said some things where he's like, you have Southerros, right? Which is like a southern continent. And then you also, he has said that there would be something that would sort of mirror America to the West, right? Like a continent like that. So yeah. And then eventually you might be able to connect and go around and do like all kinds of stuff. There's nothing to say that there aren't plenty more in this world. Threats and things out there, even outside of like what we already know exists, let alone what could also exist.
I love going a little tinfoil because we're just having fun here. And Finn just popped in here, made a nice comment about our let me pull this up real quick. So recently, our theories about Davos and Rickon. Do you think we could see the Skagosi or the unicorns in the Jon Snow show as a part of new world building? Interesting about that. I was actually thinking like, how tinfoil do we want to go? When you bring up the fact that people can be resurrected, flat out, Beric Dondarrion was resurrected. People were brought back from the dead. What's so fascinating about A Song of Ice and Fire is that like there are multiple people who have different identities. The Faceless Men. Who are they? Varys is always wearing disguises and stuff. So if Jon, learned of some power and started to reflect on how he was brought back, maybe he gets his little brother and tries to, bring him back to life or something, or who freaking knows what quest he might go on and go over to Skagos or something. Maybe there's a reason to go there. There's a rebellion or something. He's got to go.
And then we haven't even begun to talk about Bran. What is that, like the three-eyed raven? Like, what is he now? Now that threat of the Night King is defeated, what is Bran's role? Does he still have that power? Does that power beginning to turn him? Is the Great Other and R'hllor, are they still up there as gods? Were they defeated? What is exactly what is the deal?
Yeah, that's a really good question because there's so many things where like Bran has this ability to skin change. He's in Hodor and he's learning how to connect to the Weirwood network and he can see things. And like, I mean, his arc is so ridiculous. What he does in episode 8 is ridiculous. It just sits and waits, right? He's just he's the bait or whatever. He's going to come try to strike Bran. Well, how important is he? Like what powers does he have? And then who would oppose him? Is there someone who would oppose him that has great power? And would they try to remove him from the throne? Would that be a reason for him to summon his, brother, right? Or Jon Snow to come help him, to come aid in some sort of thing. I feel like that might be something that he could do. just get the. I mean, we still don't know anything about Hal and Reed. You know, all the different stuff that there's so many things that they didn't answer, that they did not bring to a conclusion, that you could provide some answers to and solve a few things and have some fun Easter eggs, and then still just follow the story of the Starks. And what was it like? I mean, did they win renown? Are they now sort of that group that is like largely influencing and in control in Westeros? And then what threatens them? Right, that's the next phase. So yeah, I feel like that'd be sick to see.
Is there anybody else who you'd want to see? Like whose story besides Jon Snow, like from like season 8 final episode, where you want to go forward? Who else would you want to see?
Well, let me think. So, like the people who were still largely left, who was all on that council? I mean, you had
Bronn,
Davos,
Sam,
Sam. Okay,
Tyrion.
yeah, Tyrion. Right. Okay, and then what happens to all like Dany's forces? What happens to all of them? Do
They just sort of leave.
they leave, right? And they just
Yeah, they
go
didn't really. Yeah.
back. I mean, so like are is there more there? I mean, if Tyrion's still around, wouldn't you want more Peter Dinklage? And
We didn't even touch Azor Ahai. Remember, if you go back to the early the early text, right, of talking about the Dawn Age and everything, it felt like there was a war. And remember, like each sort of region had its own story of like what happened when like the long night ended. You have the great hero, you have Azor Ahai, all of these different.
right. Well, who would be something that along that line that would be interesting to follow would be Sam. I think if you have Jon doing his thing, and I know again they're talking
Right.
like it's own thing just
Yeah.
beyond the
So
wall, but Sam doing something more with the Maesters and learning more and like growing that
right.
scientific
Right.
knowledge base or something would be cool.
So I guess that's what I'm saying is, even though we defeated the White Walkers here, what's to say there isn't another sort of similar threat that took
Oh,
place somewhere else,
yeah.
right? If in theory it is like time circling back around of like, well, we had Azor Ahai and we had the Long Night and we had like the Sword of the Morning, all these different like heroes in the Dawn Age, remember, in the World
Mhm.
of Ice and Fire book, describing that sort of initial event. It feels like the same thing sort of happening all over the world. Well, then what's to say
Well,
there isn't something like that happening right now in
first
like
of all,
Yunkai and Marine or
we didn't see that. I mean, that's the thing. That what was kind of underwhelming. I mean, again, there were certain parts of season 8 that were like, "Ah, this is awesome." But what is when you hear about the Long Night, and we kind of thought it was going to cover all of Westeros, right? We thought like this battle is going to stretch all the way down to King's Landing. They're going to have to deal with it. It's going to be snowing and all these different things, and White Walkers everywhere. It did not sound like the Long Night that we heard about. So I'm kind of under the impression that like that was the first wave. I don't even know that we're done. You know what I mean? Like this is
right,
who's to say that we're even anywhere close to being done? Like that seems if that was what the Long Night was about and it was so legendary, like if this was the Long Night 2.0 or whatever at the Battle of Winterfell, that's weak sauce. Then why was this a legendary event that stuck around for 10,000 years that covered the land in this great darkness? Like, no, let's see that. Like, let's talk about something else that's
right.
bigger and more epic. I guess
You
it's
could
just
still have the Night's King, right? Because remember in the books, there is no Night King like we see in the show. There's the Night's King who was like the 13th Lord
right.
Commander, who we think might end up becoming this person, but we don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so that's that could be very well what John stumbles into is reestablishing, setting up their shop there, thinking they're all safe and thinking that things are good, but really maybe Bran is duped in some way. I feel like in the books actually what is happening is that he is being duped. He is being lured into a trap of some kind. I mean, we actually all had theories that Bran was going to be the enemy and that secretly Bran has been if John learned of something in the north where that Bran was really connected to this hive mind and they're using him the same way that they were Bloodraven. By the way, anybody who is not familiar with the book series, go look that up. I mean, Bloodraven is not necessarily a friendly guy. I mean, we all think he's known as a friend, but look at what's happening in the cave and see if he's not a prisoner and if he wasn't maybe captured as he went beyond the wall and if he's not
Right.
working for an evil power or being held by an
Well,
evil power. Maybe that's Bran too.
well, right. And even if you just begin to look at just the areas that are in the north, right, that we haven't
Mhm.
touched. And let me pull up my other map again. Just because I think it's better for this.
Mhm.
So okay. So let me get this pulled up over here. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, Hardhome is here. Like this whole region right here into the Frostfangs is about as far as we go.
Yeah.
Like now, Bran has a vision, right? The Heart of Winter is a place that glimpsed by Bran Stark when he's lying in a coma after his fall. He looks beyond the wall and beyond the curtain of light at the edge of the world, he into what is called the Heart of Winter. What he sees there makes him cry. The three-eyed crow tells Bran that he must, now choose to fly. He knows why he must live because winter is coming. Bran then sees spires of ice rising up to impale him and the bodies of 1,000 dreamers before him, right? Which is like crazy. The crow tells Bran he must choose to fly or die. So some people believe that what he sees is the land, of almost winter.
Right. Yeah. So, and remember, George has recently said in a post, we've yet to see that Winds of Winter is going to take us well beyond anything we've ever seen before, right? We're going to go further north than we ever have. Not just Hardhome, and that we've talked about that, but he's talking about going well beyond and taking us
a good map too.
deep into the land of always winter. Yeah.
Yeah, this is another good sort of map. Yeah. I mean, it's just we don't go like deep over into there's so many of these places that like were actually only ever mentioned like once or twice. Like remember the bridge? It's like, man, it's like that's over like by the Shadow Tower. That's like it's like right here, right? That crosses like the gorge. And it's like you only ever talk about that bridge once, but then you go and you start reading the wiki and it's like, man, this thing's sweet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because as vast as the North Kingdom is, right, just south of the Wall, what's beyond that is, and I actually think even if, let's say, the Night King was defeated by Arya, and some of that winter element or that storm has settled down, maybe more of it is accessible, right? They can get further north than they ever have before. Resettle those lands, find old kingdoms. The Fist of the First Men, right, which Matt has up there, right there at the Skirling Pass. The Fist of the First Men was something that it has an ancient fortress, like an ancient sort of structure. So this kingdom, again, 10,000 years ago, might have stretched way up in here, and it's just covered in ice and snow. I mean, go check out Antarctica and see what we got. We got pyramids on Antarctica under ice.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. We also have, if I can, real quick, just a couple really good comments here. So Sifo says, new threat in the Jon Snow could probably be some remaining children of the forest. I 100% think that they still have a lot of questions to answer. And as I've been talking about here, I feel like a lot of the mystical, magical element, the secrecy that's up there, George knows a lot of those secrets and said, let's go explore that. They didn't even come close to touching that. He's weaving that into his final 2 books. There'll be some of it. He's not going to go into all the details, but I feel like there's a lot more to do there.
Well, hey, hold on, real quick. Ouya here has a great has a great thing. Let's send the children of the forest to labor camps. I'm
this guy, he's been tearing the chat up. Actually,
he's been tearing the chat up. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Val will be introduced as a love interest for Jon Snow, and Tormund and Ghost will probably have key roles. I mean, wouldn't that be super cool to kind of see? We all were rooting for Jon to find that, whether it's with like Ygritte or Dany, whatever it was going to be, it just hasn't happened for him. He's been pretty unlucky, and it would be kind of cool. Val, the big theory about her in the book is that he did steal her in some regard, and that she does sort of belong to him or whatever by the terms of their customs. And again, she's a wildling princess, and he's now. I mean, she holds almost like the most authority of anybody, be it beyond the wall. And then here comes Jon Snow. So that would be a weird kind of like a love interest, but at the same time a conflict, which I think would be brilliant, and would love to see that. Yeah.
So yeah, if we only had say 6 episodes, right, roughly about an hour each, like 50 minutes each, you're gonna have to. I don't know that we would see much else. I don't know that we would see I think we would hear like a letter or something of like what's going on. I don't think we'd actually see like Bran or any of this other stuff, but I feel like, man, you'd have to. They're going to go establish something. My guess is they probably go rebuild Hardhome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have to set up some sort of structure. They got to set up some sort of inhabitants or whatever. And as they set up there, everyone's talking about this heart of winter, the land of always winter. Why is it always winter up there? What's the deal? Is it just because it's far north, or is there some magical element or a threat that would sort of hurt these people? Matt's got the the Frostfangs in the mountain range there. What's just we
never even go.
We have no idea.
We
You
like
know?
we go really. It's like about the furthest we go is about like right around here, like the Skirling Pass. Like that's about it. We don't really go over to the frozen shore, although it is said, I guess, in one of the chapters that Mance Rayder's army has men from over here
Mhm. Yeah.
that come down. But I mean, nothing up here. It's all uncharted. Then like the Thens are up here. So my guess is Jon is gonna go rebuild Hardhome. It would probably be if we got like where everything is taking place. And we could remember this it's probably already, if we jump into this, it's probably already a year or two after, would be my
Uh-huh.
guess. It's
Yeah.
been like it's been some time, would be when they were to start this show.
Right. Here's a question for you. So, do you think we'll be rebuilding the wall, or the wall would be is there a reason for that now? Like
I
that's a
don't
big,
think so.
as Bran is sitting on the throne, is he saying like, yeah, we need to like, reestablish that? And then, because that seems like to me it would be then John's kingdom beyond the wall. And
Right. Well, I could see it because I could see the people of Westeros saying, "Yeah, we want to walk." Because like the only bad part is that like, and this kind of screws it up a little bit. Had the Night King marched down to King's
come
Landing,
on. Yeah.
like
Yep.
it sort of should have been in the show,
Yep.
then you'd have a reason for all these people to say, we want that back up just in case.
Yes. Absolutely, dude. And that's what I was
But
thinking.
they only go to Winterfell,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so then nobody else really sees it.
So, I mean, we've had a Game of Thrones series, and you have this Jon Snow in between, like sequel, kind of like discovering maybe a greater threat. It wouldn't surprise me if there, like I've said before, there's this greater long night. That this was nothing. This was nothing compared to what we heard about in the Age of Legends, in this whole,
Right.
um, Dawn Age situation where there was this great long
Right.
night. And as Matt said, had they gotten down to the Trident, yeah, everyone would freaking know about these things. They still, it's still like all the Northmen. I mean, they made this crap up. I mean, whatever. They dealt with some. They'll probably chalk it up to like wildlings fighting and stuff. I mean,
Right.
like, how are you going to believe any of these people? There's that disbelief. And no one goes really. Like the North Kingdom is so far
Right.
removed from the other six kingdoms.
But let's say they do if they do rebuild the Night's Watch, what's to say that all the people aren't demanding that anybody who was part of Daenerys's army get sent there? Because they just burned down King's Landing and killed like 50, 500,000 people.
Right. That's a good point. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Who would then go? Like, does
Because doesn't Jon get sent beyond the wall? It's not
yeah, I
just
thought,
like it's part of like the deal.
yeah, I thought is that he was sort of like, that's
Banished.
his ban.
So I
Yeah.
think they are rebuilding it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, which means then if they're doing that, they Bran must think there's a still a threat. You know what I mean? Like there's the only reason you would do it is to watch for the next long night to come, or something. And that really maybe this was, I don't know. You don't want to just
And that's not
redo
to
that.
say, and that's not to say that in the books, because obviously this is now like totally different than the books. But let's say that like the threat that George is actually preparing in Winds and A Dream of Spring will be whatever we end up fighting. Jon could theoretically have to go up against. And it's like, and again, this thing, the only news we have from this is that it is confirmed by not like the most credible, but now a lot more and more places are reporting it.
Right.
Sources that there is a Jon Snow show in development. Now, HBO has yet to, even with like DC content, like they don't really do things like the way Disney does. Like
Right.
when it's like, hey, we're doing a show, it's like you're getting like it's like you're getting like 5 seasons. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Yeah.
they
It's not
don't
just a one-off thing.
they don't do like these little mini series. They're preparing their sort of, the first one that's even coming is the Batgirl movie,
Mhm.
but it's like part of like the DC extended universe, and it's like, no, that's just where we're starting.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would expect it to be a bigger project. I mean, right now we're calling it a Jon Snow show,
Mini
but
series.
it
No,
would
I think it'd
probably
be
be
like
Beyond
seasons.
the Wall. It would be sort
Yeah.
of one of the. It would be like a Beyond the Wall season 1. Some sort of thing. It needs an epic title of some kind. I don't know what it would be, but House of the Dragon is sick, right? It's a sick title.
Right.
It's got a good brand. It's tied into Game of Thrones. Yeah, you want to build up this Westeros verse. and make these things matter. People are looking for a little bit more mystic stuff. I mean, some of the normal, I mean, we're going to have some normal shagging going on with wildlings.
No,
We're going to have Val, cast or whatever, if this is the case, and scary moments where there's snow monsters and stuff like that. But then something will kind of trigger Jon to say, I have to go to the heart of winter. I've got to go figure out what's really going on. There's so many questions we don't have answered. And he was there freaking battling this night kid, this other. They've really not explored or talked about that. And what is it that they wanted? Did they just want to? Because they again are. Someone mentioned this. The children of the forest created them because the first men came over, cut them down, destroyed the giants, pushed the children of the forest far north beyond the wall, and isolated them. They lost, so they created the others and started the whole freaking long night. So, like, the children are to largely blame for this, but yet the children, are they trying to correct this failure or shortcoming by creating Bran and the Three-Eyed Crow? Is that what they were doing, or are they still puppets? And did they create a monster and a beast that they can't control? Like, that's still not really been shored up, I guess. And I'd love to see that. I think that's where you need to kind of go with it. And multiple seasons, as Matt said. So not just one little mini series, but like, let's really go after this.
Yeah, I mean,